Welcome, Chosen One.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Gwent video here on the Aso Plays channel. Something a little bit different today. Instead of playing Gwent, we're going to be talking about Gwent. And I know some people will despise this. They want the gameplay. But I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite mechanics, if not my absolute favorite mechanic in the game, Deathblow. And talk about some ideas that I have for how to expand the mechanic and make it more complex, more layered, more fun, hopefully. So Deathblow, I think we all know what it does. Trigger this ability if this card destroys a unit. So Deathblow cards usually deal damage on deploy or order. I say usually, but I think they always do that, because how else would they work? Of course, we have special cards with Deathblow as well. They deal a small amount of damage, and if you're able to actually kill something with it, you know, you are rewarded with usually a pretty good reward. Like Forbidden Magic, you get a Revenant, which is a 5 provision, pretty high ceiling engine, and you get to deal 2 damage and get this 5 provision engine for 5 provisions, which is pretty cool. Of course, if you don't manage to set up the Deathblow, it's a 2 for 5, which is absolutely garbage. And that's what I like about Deathblow. You know, it's usually, like, we're talking small amounts of damage. You know, Revenants deal 1 damage. We have 2 damage from Merciless. 3 damage from certain cards, but I think that's fair. 1 damage from Gregoire. You know, these small instances of damage that you usually need some previous setup. Unless your opponent is playing like tokens, of course, but in a lot of matchups, you'll need actual setup. You'll need to build your deck to be able to set up the death blows, get your opponent's units low on health, or power, it's not health in this game. And then you get a reward. And I think it's a very complex, relatively complex mechanic. I think it's very fun to play with. I do really enjoy, one of my favorite design cards in the entire game is Roche Merciless. Because, you know, it's a pretty cool card, and it's, of course, it's a Blue Stripes card, that's all it is. And you don't even need the Deathblow for this card to work, which I think is good, because it's a 12 provision card. But if you do get the Deathblow, and, you know, we've seen Commando decks, they have Adernian Maulers, Ballistas, maybe they'll start using the new Griffin Witcher with the pings. They play all these cards, because gaining Zeal on Roche Merciless is very good. It's a good card to gain Zeal on, and he can get it himself if you set it up. And this is a type of control gameplay that I think is really fun. It's not just kill your opponent's unit, but it's set them up. You know, control, manipulate the battlefield to help serve you and give you big payoffs. So Deathblow is a great mechanic. I really enjoy it, and I have some ideas on how to expand it. To properly explain my ideas, I am actually going to reference another card game the one I played before Gwent, which is the Elder Scrolls Legends. It's an Elder Scrolls based CCG. It's still alive and playable, but the developers haven't added anything new in a while. They're kind of on a hiatus indefinitely, which is a shame. I stopped playing the game before that happened, so it doesn't really matter to me, but it is a shame, because I used to really enjoy the game. And I'm going to talk about some mechanics there. Now, Elder Scrolls Legends is a fairly normal, standard card game. You know, we have mana costs, attack stat, defense stat. There's combat, you go face. Very traditional in that sense. And of course, a lot of mechanics from these traditional card games don't work in Gwent. But Elder Scrolls Legends, at least, has this keyword called Slay. Now, I don't know about like Hearthstone and games like that. Maybe they have it too, probably. Never played it, don't know anything about it. But Elder Scrolls Legends had Slay, which is basically Deathblow. If you attack the unit or a creature with a Slay creature, and you kill it, and the Slay creature itself survives, you get an effect, much like Deathblow. Of course, Slay, you know, if you're able to continuously kill with the same creature without it dying, you'll get to slay over and over again. You know, and that works because there's creature combat in that game. In Gwent, we don't have that, which is why Deathblows are linked to deploy effects and single-use order effects. But that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to maybe change. Because in Elder Scrolls Legends, not only can you trigger these slay abilities with, you know, attacking and killing, but there's also cards like this, Sword of the Inferno, which is an item. It's an equipment. You equip it to the unit, gives the unit +2 attack. But Summon, which is like their version of Deploy, the wielder will deal 2 damage to itself and another creature. And if the 2 damage to itself doesn't kill itself, and the 2 damage to the other creature will kill that creature, you'll get the slay effect. And, you know, this game did have a keyword called lethal, which is like death touch in Magic. Any amount of damage, even if it's just 1, is enough to kill, and this would work with that. There are a lot of strategies that I really enjoyed playing back in the day that involved this. There's also Quicksilver Crossbow, which is another equipment. Gives the wielder +1/+1. Okay, decent stats. But Summon, the wielder deals 1 damage. So this, of course, if you're able to set it up with creature combat, you can trigger slay effects with this. And you can put it on a lethal creature to kill anything. It was pretty insane. But very, very fun. And an example of a lethal creature with slay was, you know, Archchain Venom Tongue. Which had slay, gain +1 max magicka. So that's like the mana system is magicka. Your max magicka increases by 1 every turn, up to I think 12. But you can go above that, and you can ramp faster than that by using creatures like this. So by using this with like crossbow, you would kill. Now that I think about it, I actually think you get the slay effect even if the unit dies or the creature dies. I'm not sure. But yeah, you use crossbow with this, you know, you kill anything because this has lethal, and you'll ramp, which is very nice. But enough about Elder Scrolls Legends. That's not what you play. That's not what I play anymore. But these are the effects that are like the basis for my ideas here. Because this slay stuff and using these items to slay extra was one of my favorite playstyles in that game. It was very fun. It felt like you were building up to something. It felt like the rewards were big enough. And I want to see that in Gwent. So, I did make some custom cards to sort of replicate this type of mechanic in Gwent. But just one thing that we have to keep in mind here. I'm pretty sure that the death blows in Gwent are directly linked to the damaging effect. So for Grégoire de Gorgon, you know, he deals 1 damage on deploy. Death blow boosts out by 5 and gain a shield. I think the death blow is part of the deploy ability. So for my ideas to work, and for the cards I'm about to show you to work, we would need the death blow to be sort of a separate thing. So this deals 1 damage on deploy. That's just something it does. And then it has a separate ability, a separate effect. Whenever it destroys something, you know, you get boost by 5 and gain a shield. So if you're able to do that from the deploy, good. You get 10 points and a shield. This card is not good anymore. F in the chat, please. But then if there were effects, cards that allowed Grégoire to deal damage again, later, and he killed something, he would gain the death blow again. So for this to work, death blow would have to be a separate thing, which I currently don't believe it is. I could be wrong, but like this whole interaction doesn't exist in the game right now, so there's really no way for us to tell, but I think that's the way it works. But yeah, so with that in mind, death blow has a separate effect on the card, a separate ability. Let's get into some custom cards. I have 3 new ones and 1 rework that I'm just going to quickly show you. Alright, here we go. I found them. I made them on a different computer and I had to send them to myself and then download them on this one, but it's fine. This first one, by the way, don't think too much about the numbers. I'm just trying to illustrate a point. I did try to like semi-balance them just to look smart, but don't worry too much about it. Coordinated Assault is a Nilfgaard Northern Realms dual faction card. I made these dual faction just because I like making dual faction cards. It's a warfare and tactic. I figured, you know, a coordinated assault makes sense as a warfare and a tactic, so that's why I made this dual faction, and that set the standard for future cards. Don't mind the art too much. I just wanted something that looked like Gwent, so why not just take Gwent? Take some Gwent pictures. It's a 4 provision special. Choose up to 2 allied units, then they each damage the same enemy unit by 2, and then I just added if both allies or soldiers increase the damage by 1. Just to give some soldier synergy. Both Nilfgaard and Northern Realms have a lot of soldiers. They have soldier decks, which could make this a 6 for 4, you know. But yeah, so you know we already have like up to X amount in the game in tactical decision, and I imagine this could just work the same way, where you know if you have room for 3 cards in your hand, tactical decision will draw you 3 cards. If you only have room for 1 or 2, it'll only draw you 1 or 2. And then the rest of the card will adjust to that. Or the ability will adjust to that. And it'll be the same here. Like, if you have 2 or more units, you'll choose 2. But if you only have 1, the card will still work. It won't be as good. And, you know, one piece of text that I didn't bother changing because I'd already changed the card twice. It says if both allies are soldiers. But let's just make it if all allies, all chosen allies are soldiers. Because this would kind of insinuate that if you only have 1 unit, you can't get the damage increase even if it's a soldier. You could also make it soldiers and knights. This is not too much about that part of the card. It's just you choose units and then they deal damage. This card doesn't deal damage. It makes your units deal damage. And you know, because it's not just removal, it's removal that requires you to have units. In this case, if you actually want to kill something, you need 2 units on the board. Potentially 2 soldiers for this to actually be good removal. And that's like a condition, a requirement that would make these cards able to be a little bit cheaper. Because it's not just blast your opponent. You know, you need setup. You can't just use this turn 1. Which is a downside to the card. But of course the upside, you know, let's think about soldiers, right? K20 Revenant. Falibor. They have Deathblows. Revenant, you'd get a new Revenant if you kill something with a Revenant with this. And the way it will work, like the first unit you choose will damage first. So like you choose your Adenian Mauler. Whoa. I never butchered a card name that much. Adenian Mauler. You choose that first. And then the Revenant. The Mauler will hit. The Revenant will hit. Hopefully kill. You'll get a Deathblow. New Revenant. Good value. And Falibor, of course, he will deal. He has a Deathblow where he repeats his deploy and decreases the damage by 1. And since his deploy is damage by 3, I'd imagine the way this works is if you kill something with Falibor with coordinated assault, he will deal 2 damage to something. And if he then kills something, he'll deal 1 damage. So, you know, up to 3 extra points off the Deathblow on Falibor, which makes him a worse coordinated assault target than Revenant, which is a 5 provision card. So, I think it works out. You could also make like this effect just a neutral thing. But I thought, okay, it's like a warfare and tactic. Let's make it faction. Let's make it dual faction. But you could have something like this be neutral. All right, for this next one, I decided to combine Skellige and monsters because they have beasts in common. So I made this raid organic card called Back for More. 5 provision special. Choose an allied beast, then have that unit consume an enemy unit with 3 or less power. Devotion, the chosen ally gets Deathblow boost health by 2 first. So, Deathblow says trigger this ability if this card destroys a unit. And consume, if you consume a unit on the board, it specifically says destroy. So, consume should work with Deathblow. And, you know, this, you know, maybe reminds you of Amnesty. That's what I went for. You know, you can remove a 3-power unit. You get 3 points. And with Devotion, you'll get an extra 2 points. But of course, the card works differently. This requires you to have a beast on the board. Yada, yada, yada. You go kind of tall with it. So, like, there are different upsides and downsides to this card as opposed to Amnesty. Which is why I decided to make it 5 provisions. I'm not sure that's correct. But the thing about the Devotion here also goes into another mechanic I would love to have implemented into the game more, which is giving abilities, giving text, giving effects and keywords. You know, like Sirinova. She doesn't have those keywords or those statuses, but she gains them if you have the condition. Winter Queen gains Thrive if you have Devotion, but the card itself doesn't have Thrive. So there is, you know, precedent in the game to be able to give mechanics, give abilities. And this would actually give that beast that Deathblow. So if you have other mechanics, other cards that would let this beast attack again, and it would actually kill something, it would have a Deathblow on it. Which of course goes away when the card leaves the board. That's, you know, when they leave the board, they're reset to like deck builder state, right? So yeah, I think this is kind of cool. I know Consume is a monsters only ability, but you know, Skellig also has beasts. They have bears. They eat stuff. They consume, and the consume here is really only a technicality. It's just, you know, you could say destroy an enemy unit with 3 or less power and boost self by its power. You know, it's just a technicality because it's a keyword we already have that works. It's good. So back for more is this one. And next up, gang violence. I'm not super happy with this one, but like I said, this is just about making a point, not so much about making the best possible custom cards. I made this an epic 6 provision special for Syndicate and Scoia'tael. Of course, what they have in common is dwarves. So it's a nature and crime. Nature is a stretch, but you know, Zoltan's company is also nature. And I gave it the Crown Splitters tag because, you know, that's what we do. Choose an allied unit, then that unit damages an enemy unit by 3. Increase the damage by 2 for each adjacent ally that shares a category with the chosen unit. You know, because it's gang violence. So this works in, you know, tribal Scoia'tael decks. It can deal up to 7 damage, but I think, like, it's not like, it's not just 7 damage for 6 provisions, right? You need setup. You need 3 units with the shared categories. But it works with Scoia'tael tribal decks, elves, dwarves, and dryads, if you want to do that. And in Syndicate, you know, it works with Firesworn. It works with, I mean, any gang, really. Crown Splitters, Firesworn, Blind Eyes. And I honestly think, it's fairly balanced. But of course, don't care too much about the numbers. These are the 2 factions I play the least, so making custom cards for them is a bit more difficult. But I think I did a fair job. At least it's flavorful, right? The bigger your gang, the more damage you deal. It's pretty good. Alright, last up. I said there was a rework, and that's Sahil. Now, I didn't change the provision cost. I didn't change the cooldown or anything. But that could all be done. First of all, I gave it the equipment tag, because why not? Equipment could be a cool type of artifact. It still has Zeal, but I gave it Equip. Deathblow increased Sahil's order damage by 1 until moved from the battlefield. Now this Deathblow the card already has, but now it does it on Equip, which you know, it's a new mechanic that I've described as ability given to the unit left of this card. So you equip it to the unit that's to the left. And the idea is Sahil doesn't have this Deathblow effect anymore, the equipped unit does. So you can use, you know, the aforementioned cards to actually increase Sahil's order damage even more without having to necessarily kill something with Sahil's order. And you know, the order is changed to the equipped unit damages an enemy unit by 1. Which, you know, if equipped unit has other death blows, this helps with that too. And I kept the cooldown to 2. One change that I thought of that I wanted to make to this. Increase Sahil's order damage by 1 until moved from the battlefield. I wonder if it should be until the equipped unit, you know, or until Sahil becomes unequipped. So, like, the opponent can kill that unit and reset Sahil's order damage. Or lock it. Or just move it, because it will be unequipped. It will be re-equipped to, you know, the unit that will now be to the left of it. But it's a re-equip. It is unequipped first. The order will reset. I think maybe that could make the card a lot more interactive. Because that was a problem with this card in the first place. It was uninteractive. And yeah, you can have it be heat waved. But I think that's fine. But if you make such a big part of the effect related to just, you know, tangible units that can be killed by anything, that can be locked, they can be moved, the card becomes a lot more interactive. But, you know, you can put down a unit, you can protect it, give it veil so it doesn't get locked. You know, depending on the matchup, you can protect it in different ways. And you can go really, really hardcore with Sahil, continuously increasing the order damage. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed some of my thoughts and ideas for how to expand the Deathblow keyword. Obviously I love Deathblow as a mechanic, and I would love to see them do more with it. We got some very neat Deathblows in Master Mirror, which I was very excited about. Shows that they haven't forgotten about the mechanic, and they know how to do cool things with it. So, CDPR, if anyone from CDPR are watching this, from the Gwent team, please consider this. I think this would be really cool for the game. You know, just add more layers, add more complexity. You know, more cards that give payoff for setup. You know, I think we need more of that, and it would be very cool. So yeah, let me know down below what you think of my ideas. Do you have any more ideas that you could add to this? Did you hate my ideas? In which case, you know, you can still be nice about it. But sure, let me know. I would love feedback of any type. And yeah, I wish you a good day, or evening, or night, or morning, or whatever it is. A good year. Happy New Year. We're a few days into it now, but I can still say it. And until I see you again, which I do hope is soon, have a good one. Bye. Happy Gwenting.